Hello, this is Alicia Sam and you're watching HW News. The Bureau of the FIFA Council has unanimously decided to suspend All India Football Federation AIFF with the immediate effect due to undue influence from third parties, which constitutes a serious violation of the FIFA statutes, FIFA said in a statement. The All India Football Federation AIFF was on Tuesday suspended by the FIFA due to undue influence from third parties, and the country has also been stripped of the right to host the 2022 Under-17 Women's World Cup scheduled for October. The international sports governing body continued, "We are in constant constructive contact with the Ministry of the Youth Affairs and Sports in India and are hopeful that a favorable resolution to the matter may yet be achieved." In the decades of its existence, FIFA has never before suspended the AIFF. Let's take a look at what led to suspension and what the consequences will be. Why FIFA suspended AIFF? The specter of a FIFA ban had been hanging over AIFF since May 18, when the Supreme Court forced out Praful Patel as the AIFF president for not holding elections due in December 2020 and appointed a three-member committee of administrators headed by former top court judge A.R. Dave to manage the organization's affair. The COA also has framed to AIFF's constitution in line with the National Sports Code and model guidelines. As per FIFA's statutes, member federations should not subject to legal and political interference in their respective countries. Despite SC's interference, FIFA did not ban India and instead sent a joint FIFA Asian Football Confederation mission to monitor the situation in Indian football. The mission ended its 3-day visit on 23rd June. The mission concluded that the next step should be ratification of the AIFF statutes in line with the FIFA AFC principle of good governance and holding of an electoral Congress to choose the next AIFF leadership. A draft constitution of AIFF prepared by the COA was submitted to the Supreme Court on July 16. The constitution provided for 50% eminent players representation in the Electoral College of the AIFF and the Executive Council. The state unit opposed certain clauses of the draft constitution and the matter reaches the SC. Meanwhile, FIFA termed the decision to have an equal number of eminent players alongside the state association representative in the Electoral College as not prudent idea. It is also said that the governing body is okay with the executive committee having 25% of former players as co-opted members. On August 3rd, SC passed an interim order for AIFF to hold its election as soon as possible, with the result being declared by 29th or 28th August. It also approved forming an electoral college made up of 36 representatives of State Football Association and 36 eminent former football players. On August 6th, FIFA threatened to suspend AIFF due to third-party influence. On August 15th, once again, FIFA informed the Indian Sports Ministry that it is in opposition to individual members' inclusion in the Electoral College for the upcoming AIFF elections. FIFA said that the individual members of the Electoral College should come from the state association and other entities. On August 16th, FIFA officially suspended AIFF with immediate effect due to undue influence from the third parties, which constitutes a serious violation of the FIFA statutes. What is FIFA's decision on holding Under-17 Women's World Cup? As a suspended member, India cannot hold the World Cup that it is to take place in October. The suspension means the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup 2022, scheduled to take place in India on 11th to 30th October 2022, cannot currently be held in India as planned. FIFA is assessing the next steps with regard to the tournament and will refer the matter to the Bureau of Council and, when necessary, FIFA said in its statement. However, if the ban gets lifted in time for the tournament, India could still host the World Cup. When and how will the suspension be lifted? FIFA is very clear on what needs to be done for the AIFF suspension to be lifted. The suspension will be lifted once an order to set up a committee of the administrators to assume the power of the AIFF Executive Committee has been repealed and the AIFF administration regains full control of the AIFF's daily affairs, FIFA pointed out. In other words, once FIFA adheres completely to the FIFA statutes, the suspension will be lifted. How will FIFA suspension affect Indian football? The FIFA suspension will have a wide range impact on the Indian football. Apart from losing the host rights to Under-17 Women's World Cup, the national team will not be able to play in the international matches. Even Indian clubs will not be allowed to participate in continental tournaments. The men's team is scheduled to play Singapore and Vietnam next month, but those matches are now uncertain. The senior women's team cannot part in the AIFF Women's Championship next month, while Gokulam Kerala FC will not be able to take part in the AFC Women's Club Championship next week. That's all for the report. For more such updates, keep watching our channel HW News. Whatever your views are, do let us know in the comment section below. Take care of yourselves. Thank you.